We are controlling the broadcast.
For the next hour we will control all that you hear.
You are about to experience the knowledge and insights of the Media Mothership.
All right, welcome to Edge Radio 99.3 FM. This is Media Mothership. I'll be your host, Dr. Craig, and as always on Media Mothership, we broadcast out of our hidden underground studio, it feels like sometimes, in Nipaluna on the UTAS Sandy Bay campus in Hobart, Tasmania. On this show, we explore everything in and around the world of media, in particular how it can shape our understanding of the world around us. And today I'm joined by three practitioners of shaping the world around us through media. From my left to right, I'm joined by Xavier, the actor.
Hello.
Daniel, thank you. Daniel, the director and writer.
I liked practitioner better. Can we go with that?
Practitioner. And Edward, cinematographer and various other titles.
Well, I
right?
mean, yeah, thank you. Hello, yes. We all have multiple titles, I reckon.
We all have practitioners.
Yeah, practitioner is probably a good consolidation of those terms, yeah.
So we are squeezing. I think this is the most guests I've had on, three guests. So we'll try to keep that audio exciting and live for everyone. I have got a buzzer that I'll use as soon as someone's off, maybe, or an electric shock I should set up. But you guys are here. I brought you guys in because you're at this auspicious moment in your indie filmmaking work. We've had you in the past talking about Bin of Despondency, Just Humans. And so now the third...
Yes, this is our third feature production. So yes, that would be our third.
Yes, so I've brought you in because you're... what stage? Is it post-production?
We're about to start post-production. So about 2 weeks ago, we finished properly filming all of the... Yes,
stuff.
All of the stuff. So yeah, we finished doing that about 2 weeks ago, giving ourselves a little bit of a break, and in about 2 weeks we'll start editing.
Excellent.
So getting into post-production.
Great.
Great.
So I want to dive down into indie filmmaking, what you guys have been putting together from your particular backgrounds, and how it all might come. So actually, we might do the whole thing. We'll start pre-production, production, post-production. Ideas, future plans, right? Maybe how people can access it. And then maybe some reflective exercises. We can do some reflection and potentially advice if I'm feeling like you guys are striking me as capable enough. I'm sure you are. It's going to be really great. And we might get around to advice. I'll have that. Hopefully there'll be advice throughout it. You know, nuggets of wisdom, things that go right and things that go wrong. So we'll embark down that journey here on Edge Radio, and we'll see how that all kind of shapes up. All right, welcome back.
I love your little transition tune. It's great.
I find it cleanses people's palates. It gets them hyped and ready to engage with Chapter 2 now of the broadcast. So let's start from my right to left. So... well, actually, no. I wanted to ask a question about the story first. So, the story, from your perspective, Daniel, as the writer, what inspired this story for the film? What is the story, and what inspired it?
Well, I actually was inspired by jumpstarting
Get close
some
to
guys'
the mic.
car.
I know you're in a difficult spot.
Oh my goodness!
Or maybe even, move it slightly. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, I was actually inspired to write this based on a strange instance of apathetic help that I gave to somebody.
Apathetic help.
Yes.
Seems like a contradiction.
It was I sort of went, okay, I'll help you.
Okay.
Two guys I know were having trouble starting their car, and I had just gone home from work, but they were intending to leave and go home. I was like, I suppose I can go down and help them because they're asking nicely. And I got there, they weren't in distress at all. They were laughing and having a good time and jumping around. I'm like, geez. The spirit of youth, I thought to myself, and as I drove off, and I thought, that's a good movie about someone being not annoyed, but sort of baffled by the youth of baffled by the youth when they themselves are not very old.
Yes, because here you are, two work colleagues having problems with their car. I know that type of experience would make me frustrated, irritated, and not jovial. Yet when you encounter them, they were jovial and kind of laughing
They'd made
it
up
off.
this fiction in their head that they were about to run away from a gang and they were having a...
Really, they entered into this whole, like half cup full narrative of kind of, this might be exciting. Imagine if this was happening and the car had broken down and wow.
And I was...
It's very mentally healthy.
Yeah,
it's kind of healthy mental
It's
state.
very good. It's very inspiring.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good. I was just tired by the whole thing. I was like, this is...
You were worn out by life. You very much the older person
was-
in this situation.
I'm like, what, 7 or 8 years older than they are?
Ancient.
I know.
Because we're talking about, I guess, that kind of slightly more compressed speed of life that goes by when you're younger.
Yes.
Right? I mean, when you're 14, like I imagine, like for a 20-year-old, the experience of COVID is ancient, right? That happened like a quarter of their life ago or something. Right? So that's kind of like, that's history. Yet if you're 40 plus or 30 plus, it's like, no, that's recent history. So again, it's one of these moments. You're a bitter
So I
individual.
bitter old man for like 30 seconds. And I thought, it'd be interesting to explore the sort of, I guess, the micro, how the micro changes of someone who's 20 and someone who's 28, where the difference is there. And there's a sort of switch over at some point in that journey between those two ages that, I guess, puts someone in a new position.
Did everyone share that kind of anecdotal view of life that the I guess the generation gap, but a particular generation gap, 20 to 28?
Well, in my experience, there is quite a big difference, and it comes from different access to technologies and different experiences, like growing up with COVID and stuff like that. Like, growing up, I mean, it happened for about a year or two. So,
It's the Black Plague.
yeah.
I mean, survival rates plummeted.
Well, and that was very disruptive to a lot of people's schooling. Right. So, for me, who had a job, it was just an annoyance and a really big annoyance. But for these younger people, as they were, going through the final years of year 12, final years of their schooling or, their university, all these important things like exams and proper tutelage and stuff like that was heavily disrupted.
Formative experiences were disrupted.
I
suppose.
Yeah. Whereas for us, they weren't really formative experiences. Yeah.
So in that way, it's one of those real life experiences which, I guess, when you're young, you might not necessarily forecast forward too much, but as you get older and you encounter people for whom their sense of time is very, very different from your own. Good. All right. So going on with the script writing process, how was it this time around? Given you've written a number of scripts, did the process and insights of writing this go smoothly?
Yeah, I was when did I write this? September, October last year. It was pretty quick. It went through a bunch of drafts, obviously, but the actual core of it was out relatively quickly.
So it started with that anecdote, and that anecdote appears in the...
It does, but not as a part of the core plot of the film. It's in there as a separate incident. But
the core aspect is still that kind of buddy...
Yeah, it's kind of I suppose you could call it it's a buddy cop movie, but it's not like a cop movie.
There's no cop part, but there is buddy part.
But it's a buddy
kind of
movie.
opposites.
A road trip movie.
It's a buddy road trip movie, basically,
yeah.
where there is no car for most of it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the plot is essentially that these two guys get lost in the bush, one who's 20 and one who's 28.
And it's set here in Tasmania,
Yes.
identifiably...
I wouldn't say
Tasmanian,
identifiably.
Other than through the foliage.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
I suppose
if you're a foliage fan, you'll say,
Yes.
that's the Eucalyptus stereotypicus, only native to the Upper Glenorchy area. Gotcha.
Is that a
Okay,
real tree?
Hey, I've got many arbutus fans.
I do have
always dropping some knowledge.
I have a friend who's very intrigued by plants. I'll ask him if that's a real plant.
There is a drinking game that goes along with watching this show, including when I do call-outs to various eucalyptic varieties. Eucalyptic. So going on, I'm throwing you off on a tangent. So you found the process of writing it very straightforward.
Yeah, actually.
How about the process of casting it then? Was that equally easy?
Casting Xavier was pretty easy because I'd already had that in mind when I was writing it.
Because Xavier stepped in as the main.
Yes.
One of the mains.
Yeah. The co-star was a little bit more difficult, but we had a few ideas in mind of people we'd met semi-recently. And it was initially going to be one person, but then we switched to a different person because of that first person wasn't available to do it. So
they even said that this other person would do a better job.
Yeah.
So.
And the other person was Hugh Jackman, which was a surprise to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yes, Hugh Jackman. But
playing a 20-year-old,
he was.
He's got range.
We put him through a time capsule thingy, and he just changed into a 20-year-old. Yeah. But he did a wonderful job in the end. So we're happy that we got him in the end.
Yeah.
Not Hugh Jackman.
So Xavier, what does it feel like? Were you told immediately, hey, I've modelled this character on you, or when I was writing this story, as Daniel said, I had you in mind? Were you told that, or did you find that out later?
No. I'm trying to remember the exact conversation we had, to be honest. But as soon as he put it forth to me, I immediately clicked with it. Just because, I'm not quite 28 yet. I'm 26, but I'm in the latter half of my 20s, and kind of going back to that question from before about, do you notice a difference between the gap? Yeah, absolutely. I'm 5 years makes a difference. I'm certainly not an old man by any means yet, but it does make a difference. I feel very different at 26 to how I did at 20.
Because I wonder if there's a certain, if I was told, hey, here's a script, and I found out or was told, I had you in mind when I wrote it, I'd think, oh, wow, what kind of deep psychology or therapies this is evolving for me. Will I it seems like you identified with it, which is great.
Well, I did have a fair bit of actual input into the character. So the character wasn't really fleshed out yet. So it was just the overall idea for the movie was there. And then I
think when I came up with it was when I told you about it. And then you put your 2 cents into how you wanted it to sort of work. And then I'd written it in that September.
That's right.
Yeah. And then when I finished writing it, that's when I took it to you and was like, here it is, read it.
That's right. Yeah. So...
And were there, I guess some of the most memorable characters you might see in a movie have flaws, right? And did you feel comfortable with that whole gamut of kind of the flaws of the character? Are there flaws of the character, or did you say no, this character's perfect, Daniel? He's super hot with the ladies. I want
definitely not.
No.
So yeah, you really actually kind of enjoyed having a character that you didn't really have to act then because you were the character.
Yeah,
right? It was just you.
Yeah, I do kind of play I guess if I could sum it up in a nutshell, kind of how I gave input into it is I play a more pessimistic version of myself in real life.
Because you're playing the bitter, older
28-year-old who's not where he wants to be by the age that he's at, and
has too higher expectations for himself, and
all these
but we won't spoil the third act. But I imagine you seem happy and well-adjusted individual. So I imagine if it was based on you and if you had Xavier in mind, you end up not in a bad spot.
Yeah.
No,
you find out a lot about each other, and it's not. Well, it could be Thelma and Louise. I know you mentioned there was a car involved in this.
Yes. No,
that's a very good comparison. I never made that connection before.
I'm thinking of cars that involve significant third act moments.
Yes,
and I guess there's Mad Max's car, right, which always gets destroyed around the second.
Definitely used the same way in this.
Is it
100%.
um,
It's not like I use it as my actual car now.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, yeah. I hope you do. Do you use it? You
I
do
do.
use it, and
My
its
previous
value's
car-
gone up a lot now.
Well,
I mean,
yes.
it's a real prop.
Why wouldn't I keep it? You know, it's a prop.
So on casting, what else were you looking for with casting? You said you had a bit of problem with the. And full confession here, I should say that I guess I could say cast. I was an extra.
You were I suppose
I had
the lead character of one scene.
Yeah, I had a speaking role.
Yeah, a significant speaking role in one scene.
It was probably my funnest day. Like for me personally, filming it was actually probably the most fun I had on a set in a very, very
I enjoyed
long
it too.
time.
It was a very, very good day, that one.
Because, yeah, I mean, the way it was explained to me in terms of the small contribution I made was that within the movie there are cuts to like TV episodes or something, or advertisements.
Yeah, like sort of
kind of
fake advertisements. For anybody who watched Just Humans, in that we had intermissions, and there were about 8 of those, where it was a sort of an extra little bit that we just plonked in here and there. And for this, I wanted to do that again because I think that's fun.
So you feel that
but I wanted
because...
to, yeah. They break up the movie a bit, and there's and I thought in this case, since it's a lot of it's 2 guys walking around in the bush, you kind of want to break it up with a few different other little bits and pieces to give it a bit of some different colours every now and again.
I'm trying to think like it's just Starship Troopers. There are films which will
stuff like that, yeah.
break to an ad.
And I thought to myself, well, instead of just having them be very just random, kind of like they were in our previous film. Well, they weren't random. They were about the characters from the film. So that there wasn't that much of a separation between the intermissions and the actual scenes in that movie. Like, you could just not have mentioned that they were separate, and it wouldn't have really mattered. But in this, I thought, well, how about none of the characters from the actual movie appear? Or if they do, it's incidental. And they'll have each of them be about a different character who sort of reflects the ideas of the movie in a different way. And I made one that was based on that scene that I described earlier with helping someone start their car. And I thought, oh, that's good. And then I made a few more, and I thought, oh, this is all very cool. But 2 of them ended up as fake advertisements for things, including the one that you were in. And then I thought, well, that's interesting. So then I sort of remade them all to all be ads. And so the fact that they're ads is sort of a twist in each of them, I suppose. But some of them aren't. But some of them are obvious. But I thought that was an interesting way to sort of unify them but separate them from the movie. They could be watched on their own, totally fine. And I just think it's fun to have little extras sprinkled throughout to break up the movie.
It also helps expand our network as well. Like, because to get near strangers to commit to a several month process is a lot harder than to go, hey, you want to come in for half a day? It's going to be a bit of fun, you know.
Yeah. And you can get that one person who's starring in just that one scene, and that's their thing.
Yes.
They can really take ownership of it.
That's quite clever.
And you can, in the lead up to doing all of it, with each of those, I'd met up with most of those people to give them like a really good insight into what I wanted out of it. Took them out for lunch and all that sort of stuff, just to get it into their heads what they were doing, and they all took a lot of ownership of that particular scene, which was quite nice.
Well, which brings us around to topic 2, production.
Yes.
Hey.
So we're talking there a little bit about the process of actually making this film. So what were some of the challenges that you faced? Really? How did weather get in the way? I mean, it was a long film shoot, right?
It was 6 months.
Yep.
From 17th of December to about 2 weeks ago. Right.
So we're starting in summer, middle of summer, and then pushing through till... are we in the middle of winter now?
Yeah. Sort of middle of winter, I guess, yeah. The because the original, it was 21 days all up over however many weekends.
Because you were finding time mostly in the weekends, sometimes like a Friday night.
No, not really. Actually.
Weekdays were pretty sacrosanct.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of time to really make it work, I suppose. So you wouldn't want to try and squeeze something in on an evening.
But
initially, I thought I'd imagined that those 20 days would be up by the end of February.
Really? Starting December. Right. But it seems optimistic given that it only wrapped up.
Yeah, well, it would have been totally fine so long as the weather had played nice consistently for weeks and weeks.
Yes.
Because even on the second day, we had to cut short because it rained. And I was like,
And then we tried to refilm that scene, and then we had to cancel that, and then we had to postpone it again and again, all because of the weather.
Yeah.
And the problem with the rain for that scene was just the noise it was making?
Well, no, it was just that it didn't fit. I'm like, I can't have it raining in this, so that particular scene didn't get filmed until 2 months after it initially was supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a few little instances like that. That's probably the biggest barrier.
I mean...
and because it's quite a sequential movie, especially the middle of it, so you can't really have the different scenes having totally different weather, and it would...
Yeah, like 5 minutes later, suddenly they're all dry.
Yeah, it just doesn't... we got away with it once, and we actually used... It wasn't originally supposed to be a rainy scene, but then we changed it into one as while we were there, so that kind of...
But speaking of the weather, there was a day when we were filming down the channel, and there were sort of multiple fronts of rain, and so we'd be driving to the location.
It's raining
through the because we had a little weather app. Yep. So we were looking at the rain, the radar. We're looking at the radar, and so we drive to the location. We get everyone out, quick, film, and then we're done in 5 minutes, and then then the next front comes in.
Oh my gosh!
And starts raining as we're packing up, and we drive through that one, and we repeat that about 4 or 5 times.
So it was drive. Oh, it's not raining. Get back in the car. It's raining again.
And it just so happened
taking advantage of those pockets of sun to get.
It just so happened to sync up with how long it took to film those scenes and how long it took to drive to those locations.
Which is so tricky because you've not only got yourself being involved, but then the extras, the actors. It's
on that day it was lucky that we were only dealing with 3 people, who were in front of the camera, so that was all right. But and there was no audio for those days either because it's a musical montage segment that we were filming that day. So
a big challenge was the weather. Any other major challenges that you overcame? Or there was an alarm. Wasn't there an alarm that went off?
Oh, yeah. Yes. No, that did happen.
Oh, yeah. That was quite funny.
Police weren't called, but nevertheless, a big blaring alarm. Because you're filming on the weekend, so obviously one of the problems there is getting access to locations.
Yes. No, we...
and having them opened up and so forth.
Our production manager, Eiley, who has been on the show before.
My sister.
Right, yeah. Eiley's doing great work. Yeah.
She organised for us to use a school because she works in that sort of field, and she had contacted the right people and did all of that stuff.
Sounds good.
Yep, that's fine. And then we got there in the morning. She goes to open it, and alarms go up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so she had to call.
So the full-on security alarm system went off because you opened a door.
Yes, because we put a key in a keyhole.
Which really?
Yeah.
Right. But that's how the alarm system works.
Yep. You got to disarm it before you do that. And it turned out that the person just had not disarmed it yet.
Because it's Saturday.
Yeah. And they had to be reminded, which was totally fine. The whole situation was quite funny.
And it got resolved before police were called or the local neighbourhood.
Oh, yeah. No fines or anything like that. No.
Glad to hear.
No, it was good. Just a mistake on the part of
annoyance.
Mild annoyance.
Yeah, mild annoyance, exactly.
So just those main challenges, everything else?
Well, actually, a bit of an obscure one, but I think it's still pretty relevant, is looking after yourself. I think that's it's very disruptive, a production is, for your mental health.
Right.
And for your physical health.
Yes.
Unless you've got something in place to kind of help you maintain that.
Like maintaining motivation, like addressing imposter syndrome concerns that pop up?
For me, no imposter syndrome or no loss of motivation, and it was more just stress, you know, and not from the production itself, just from everything else and the production. And it was like, what is that?
It's a stress meter.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It was my phone telling me that I have to drink water now.
Oh,
There we go.
Yep.
So how? Yes.
yeah, but it's so I think if you're going to take on a big production like that or a lengthier production, just make sure that you're taking a moment to look after yourself as well.
Any tips for that? Is it just breathing exercises, stress balls?
No, I don't have any tips for that.
It's deep psychological evacuation of the soul.
You've got a therapist there. I've heard this was one acronym called. I think it's TEMP or something. The T stands for temperature.
Yeah.
Like a good way of shocking yourself out of anxiety is a splash of cold water, like an extreme temperature change to yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately for me, because I have a sort of philosophy of, well, you go through life and something breaks, and either you let the world decide what breaks or you decide what breaks. And I didn't decide for myself what broke, and so I basically just resorted to eating a little bit more than I probably should have. Yeah.
Actually, that is the number one disadvantage of doing it, is you just eat kind of worse when you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like dinner, it's been a long day, I can't be bothered making a proper dinner, so I'm just going to have, fast food.
Yes. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're aware of it, again, it's you understand the psychology of what's driving it, the stress, and it's a way of coping with it.
And that's not to say that the production was stressful. I actually thought it was quite.
Oh yeah, no.
Easy. But it was, I guess, as you said, it's the external pressures.
Yeah. Because
leaking into the
and there are suffering, and like, no one likes that feeling of stress, and so yes, you
well, for me, the actual production was the least stressful aspect of my life at that stage. The most stressful aspect was juggling a social life and work, and I would prefer not to have gone to work and just focus on the production and my social life and.
Well, and again, juggling those balls, it's one thing that's great to have you guys on to recognize the huge effort that goes into doing this, to achieving this. I mean, a lot of people would get halfway through or a third of the way through and
or just not start at all.
Yeah, just leave it as an idea. Oh, I really want to do that. And
but I think also the other thing about life is that you've got to confront things that are going to cause you stress, otherwise you don't really grow or evolve as a person, I believe. I mean, and like the upshot of going through that stress is I've gotten to the other side of it and gone, hey, I can do what I want in life. I'm there's a level of confidence that I've got which I've never had before, and this sort of self-assuredness that wasn't present before. Now I sort of have this calm outlook of, oh well, this is something that would be cool to do. I'm going to do it. There's no hesitation about doing it. There's no sort of putting it off. It's just, I want to do it, so I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. And all that is because I went through the stress of this production. So it's not stress. I don't think stress is something to be afraid of. I don't think it's something to be avoided. But I do think that I personally need to do a bit of a better job at managing it.
It is challenging.
Yeah.
And on that point of challenge, I guess the other point that can be difficult is is managing that budget and the equipment and resources. How did you find the equipment, resources, budget go for this time around? Any experiments you were doing with, turning...
Other than the fact that we bought a car for it, I don't think there was anything too extraneous about it.
So the buying of the car...
Yeah.
Like normally you'd try and use someone's car, but this had to be a specific car that you couldn't.
Specific vibe.
I think
really it was more that.
What is the car? What
it's a
model?
1992 red Toyota Corolla.
Wow, yeah, I owned one of those. 92. It is an iconic car. It's one of those.
It's very angular.
Yeah, kind of. There are tons of them out there.
And I'm glad that we did buy it, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have a car at the moment. Because my car died. So.
Right, there's a fate had bequeathed this whole series of events.
Yes, no, and actually when we bought it, people were going, "Oh, you should keep it. You should sell your other one." I'm like, "No, I won't do that." And then the other car went, and I was like, "Oh, I guess I am then." Oh well.
So how did you? So I mean, that's a stressful thing, looking for particularly that era model car.
I think initially,
that process went
initially, I think we were trying to look for a convertible.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, convertible! Wow,
we did.
Bit of glamour.
We did find one, but the mechanic that inspected it said don't.
It was an old Saab, so there was something wrong with like the firewall or whatever.
There's a crack in it.
There's a crack in it, and apparently, like if you steer it for long enough, it will actually
the
car will split in half over time.
Oh wow!
Like it's been known to happen. It'll like just the whole front of it would fall off on the road.
Yeah, this particular model was very susceptible to that. Yeah.
So the 92 Corolla was still going to give the magic.
Yes, and it was cheaper.
And cheaper, right? And you're happy with how the 92 Corolla came out?
Oh yes,
in the film.
It's it contrasts in color wise greatly with the rest of the movie. So
and that would have required equipment to film a car.
Yep.
What's the equipment you need to film a car?
You're
very happy.
Well,
where do you start?
We call it Grabby Son.
Grabby Son.
Grabby Son. I don't actually know what the actual name is, because it got replaced by Grabby Son in my mind.
What does this bit of kit do?
So it basically, you've got these 3 anchor points that are suction cups. You wipe off the body of the car that you're planning on putting it on. You suction it on, and then there's these 2 straps that are kind of like safety straps that also allow you to do some finer adjustments with the position of it. And then you just screw the camera on, and there you go.
Right. And this will help you get a shot inside the car as they're driving, or
Yep.
Or outside.
And it looked noticeable. Did you drive it on the road with the device hooked up? Wow.
Ironically, you can't tell that it's on there most of the time, because it doesn't come out very far. It only comes out about as far,
fantastic.
if not closer than the side mirrors.
Right.
So when you're driving past it, it just looks like the side mirror.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, perfect bit of kit. How did you find that? Was it on YouTube? So you want to film interior of a car driving?
Yep. I went on YouTube, as always, as anyone who's listened to me rant and rave about this before. YouTube. It's great. You just look up, I want to film on a car, and then how do I do that on a budget? And then blah 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 blah. It sends you to this, sends you to that. Yep. You go, yep, okay, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to do that. Blah blah blah, done.
Because there'd be like the DIY Bunnings option, then the kind of
which I'm sure would be incredibly unsafe.
the kind of AliExpress Chinese thing that'll take 6 months to get here, or
I think with something like this, you're wanting a camera to be safe, and if you've spent some money on your camera, do it properly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you're gonna screw in X $1,000 or $100 worth bit of camera gear, you don't want a PVC pipe from Bunnings.
No.
Blue tack to the side of the car holding it.
That would also vibrate too much as well.
Right.
I'd imagine.
Were there any kind of cheap DIY workarounds during the shoot this time, or was everything kind of purpose built or bought?
I think everything was purpose built.
Yeah, pretty purposeful, actually. We actually did a lot more with props this time than we had in the past, which is cool.
What were some of the props that you were using?
We had to build, well, Xavier had to build, because he knew how to do it.
Oh, yes. So we had I made this rusty old phone, like a rusty looking old phone booth. So it's made out of wood, and then I painted it with metallic paint.
So we're talking like an old telephone.
Yeah, I've kind of modelled it off like the Telstra boxes that we currently see on the street, the metal ones.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole backstory that we wrote into the script. So this is a kind of a fun little thing. So I don't know if anyone's ever done this themselves, but Telstra have free calls nationwide on the phone booths.
Yep, so on the side of the road or at like Elizabeth Mall, you can go there.
And so I just decided one day to call my phone on one of the boxes, and then I called the phone booth back, and then you can call them back.
Really?
Yeah, dead
So
set.
there's a number there. I guess there is.
Yeah, and you can find out what the numbers are. I've got a whole bunch of them in my phone now that I've saved, all different ones, and I just came up with this whole crazy
Have
thing.
you called those numbers?
I have. No one's ever picked up, but
because when you tested it, it does ring.
Yes,
There's
it
an
does ring.
actual-
Yeah, I rang it back, and it does ring.
No kidding.
Yeah, and you can pick it up, and you can talk to yourself
Right.
on both phones.
I
And
mean,
you can make them.
yeah. And there are movies with that features, right? The evil mastermind calls the booth and says, get to this booth by
Which makes you wonder,
0900.
he probably had to go down to the phone booth and test it
Test
out
it
first
out,
and get
like
the number
Xavier.
for it, which is kind of
Fascinating.
So yeah.
Anyway,
I'm
so
thinking.
that-
Sorry, Xavier.
That's all right. That whole thing, we decided to write that into the script as a thing that my character did when he was younger, when he was a bit more full of life and a bit more optimistic back when he was 20. So there's going to be like flashback scenes to when he was 20 and this and that. And so
Right.
we just decided to make a rusty old phone booth that they stumble across in the forest, and then it sends him back into flashback mode, and then flash forward again, and then there's this whole metaphorical thing that will come with it. You'll see it when the movie comes out. I won't say too much more, but that's why we had a phone booth. So that's
Yeah, and you made
that's one of the
this?
props. Yeah, I made it. Yeah,
So out of
just plywood and
Really?
stud work stuff. Yeah,
And I had bought a old prop phone, like
Yeah,
a dial,
yeah.
like a
yes.
Like an old
and
school
it actually works. It came with all the equipment to actually plug it in.
Wow.
It only takes American quarters, though, so I cannot use it. I'd have to go and
That's
exchange some
hilarious.
money.
Right. And you managed to source that locally or interstate, overseas?
Well, the phone came internationally.
Wow, an American coin-operated
Yeah,
telephone.
but it wasn't. It's like a plastic one that's a replica of a old, I think,
okay.
50s era
Yeah.
wall phone. But it works. You can use it, and I was surprised by that. I didn't think it would.
Well, in terms of music, you could plug it into an existing phone line.
Yep.
And it'll dial. It'll require coins.
Yep.
So you've actually tried it.
Well,
Up to the point at
up to
which
the point of
coins are
knowing that my
required.
coins don't fit in it. Yeah.
And so then to make this prop, you sourced all that material, spray paint and so forth.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It came out well.
Yeah, no, it's
it
good.
came out
It's,
alright,
it's
yeah.
good. It's in my kitchen. There's nowhere else to put it. So
Did people want particular props given the effort that was going in, or I mean, you've ended up with the car, the phone.
no, I don't think anyone else sort of wanted anything else. Which is...
Because there are these stories where, I guess in big budget, there was
Yeah.
one recently about what was it, Viggo Mortensen
And his sword, yeah.
taking the sword, from Lord of the Rings and using it in one of his films.
Well,
that
it's
is
his
in a
sword. I
Western.
mean, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's his sword. He deserves it. And I don't really like the idea of just hanging on to a bunch of props either.
No, not really.
Like, you know, I think for me it's well, this is a prop that was used predominantly by this person. As far as I'm concerned, it's a good memento for them to keep.
Yeah.
You know,
And they've got way more ownership of that than anyone else would.
Yeah.
Because it's a part of their character and a part of their journey as an actor to have had that.
And the whole process of making them is also quite a bit of fun, weathering them down, giving the prop itself a story. So, the location, the props all have their own story within what, of course, is the character arc of individual characters and so forth, but the props as well are important.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. One of the main props that are kind of a bit of a staple are our sunglasses. We have very particular sunglasses.
Like Matrix vibe. I'm trying to think of sunglasses in films, and there aren't noticeable. Like there's the Ray-Bans from Risky Business with Tom Cruise. There's kind of wraparound ones from the Matrix, or the ones Mobius has, which don't have the arms on them. Yeah. What were the sunglass designs for these ones?
So
for this film,
mine are a pair of kind of like square aviators, like brown lensed aviators with like golden, like
gold trim,
the arms trim or whatever. Yeah, so like kind of very professional looking kind of things. And then Sam, the 20-year-old, has a pair of like transparent yellow plastic looking things, a bit more colourful, a bit more playful. So it's like
these get sourced from.
They're mine. I'm a massive fan of sunglasses.
Really?
So,
You'll be popping into like shiploads and say, let me go to the sunglass space.
That's it. Every time I'm at a petrol station,
Really?
I'm always looking at the sunglasses.
Are you looking for the quirky ones? What draws you to a sunglass? What?
I don't know. Like
unusualness?
Just the vibe, whatever vibe I'm feeling,
Speaks
it's
to
like,
you. Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah. And then you can be involved in a movie shoot like this, and it's like,
well, that's
it's like Viggo Mortensen's sword from Lord of the Rings. Actually, I have sunglasses at home, and voila.
Yeah, they're like lots of different types. Like, yeah.
Well, you have a lot of knicknacks and stuff that can be used like that. Yeah,
like a lot of my knickknacks were also used as props. So like at home we have an attic upstairs, and I've like kind of done it up a bit of a man cave kind of thing, and like, just have knickknacks all up on the shelves and this, that, like just old toys, trinkets, this, that, the other thing, throwing knives with a dartboard, like just all kinds of random stuff that.
And a gold mine for a film production.
Yeah. Which is why I think a couple of weeks in we decided, you might as well be the prop master for this movie, because all of the props are coming
so
from you.
I became the prop master and the continuity director for...
Fantastic.
For your character.
So cool.
In place.
Prop master.
Good each shot, yeah.
Now, we expanded a little bit. We have a makeup person now.
Okay, what was the makeup on this shoot?
We didn't have that much of it, but it was a matter of, there was one particular day where we did, because we needed to make someone have one eye.
Oh.
So
like one eye, like a Cyclops one eye?
No,
or
as in like
one eye was missing with the
one
pirate
eye was
patch?
missing, not with a patch, but with a giant scar on it.
Wow, with the scar.
So we wanted to do that,
cool.
and so we needed somebody to do that, and then Xavier's cousin knows how to do that, so we got her to do that.
Really?
So and we're planning to give her more work, so that'll be good.
Wow. Whenever I think of makeup, I always think of horror films, zombie makeup and so forth. So curious to see where future makeup might go. That'd be exciting for the next project.
Yes.
So production seemed to have a number of really memorable moments. We've only got about 12 minutes left, 10 minutes probably.
Oh, no.
I know, it's going by so quickly and we're only up to production. I do have a question about post-production, because I know in the past we've talked about music on films. What was the approach in terms of how you're going to approach music? Is there going to be music in this film? Are you going to source some? How have you gone about that?
I actually came up with every bit of music that I wanted in pre-production.
Right, it came up in what way? You scored it on a piano, you've got it
No,
at home,
I'd written the movie around the idea that I wanted music in it.
Yep.
So there are just a few scenes in there where I was like, well, this scene is going to have music. What do I want for this?
So like sad music, happy music.
Yeah, so I wrote down, or even just fully recorded songs. And I thought, I have an idea for this.
Like Bon Jovi's...
something like that.
Right, but something you could actually get without having to pay a lot.
Yeah. And then and we know like a fair few musicians who are keen to do that sort of thing. So.
Right, local musicians.
Yeah, local.
Oh, great.
The guy who did sound for us is also going to produce some tracks for us as well, because he's a music guy, like a real musical genius, and just really good with sound as well, obviously.
Yeah, really good creative talent locally to enjoy.
Yes.
So what is the music score? I imagine it's not like a Blade Runner
No.
vibe.
It's probably more. How would you? Oh, it's pretty varied actually. There's some like country tunes in there. There's some more like quirky pop stuff, and there's one instrumental that I envisage being quite artsy sounding.
And when you think about the score and soundtrack for your film, are you also thinking, do I want to own this music if I'm going to work with a musician? Do I want to make sure I've got the rights for it, or how does that process work?
It just depends on each individual track, I guess. I mean, I know for the ones we did for Just Humans, there's one track there that we just entirely own.
Yes, right. So even
which
though
one's
you
that
got
one again?
Catch the Rain.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Catch the Rain. And
So-
why did you decide that one was the one?
It was more that it was. I actually don't know how the decision was come to that we owned that one,
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
but it just sort of happened. I suppose I don't really remember what the process was, but a lot of the other ones we did at the time have shared ownership. So
Right. What does that mean? It means the artist partially owns it, and
certain amount of, and then we own another.
And then there are
percentage
other
of it.
ones where we
license them as opposed to
yeah.
And that's for only a certain duration or something? I know there are some...
I think it's just to be used in that production.
right, yep.
Yeah.
Sort of henceforth.
Yeah.
So there won't be a version in 5 years' time where you've had to put...
No.
music
I mean, we're I guess we're a
people who-
cottage industry,
Yeah,
so
the people that we know are a bit more sensible than that.
yeah.
Yes.
Like we're just
Yeah.
not
Which is
really
good.
trying to screw each other over. We're just, trying to share our world with each other. And I think on the Hollywood productions where that it gets political with all that sort of stuff, and all these lawyers involved just for 30 seconds of a track.
Yeah.
And so the sound design as well, in terms of you're going over now, watching and listening to some of the footage. You're happy with how it's all kind of appearing and
Yes.
sounding?
Yes. No, definitely. I think we've discussed at length how much of a jump in quality there's been from our last production to this one. There's like I think that it's an astronomical change
Yeah.
in the quality of shots and how that integrates with the script itself, and how those things reflect on each other is quite a bit more than has been in the past.
That's excellent.
And the sound is really good too. We upgraded our sound equipment this time, so there was more that could be done there.
Wonderful. And so what are the plans for people getting a hold of it, watching it? Are there any distribution plans, film screening plans?
So the screenings probably won't take place for another potentially year and a bit.
Wow, right, yep. So we're only just starting that post-production moment now.
Now, the initial plan was that it was going to be September was probably going to be the time this year. But that changed when I realized there was a certain due date that I had misunderstood. And it was that we would have had to have had it done like several months ago for that to have worked. And I was like, well, we'll just wait till next year. Because there is a specific, I won't spoil it, but there is a specific thing we want to put it in and enter it
Right,
into.
like a film festival or something. Right, yeah, because I was going to ask if there are any plans for film festivals. So you have
so that there
an
is a
eye on
plan
a
for
film
that.
festival.
We have an eye on something
Right.
that we're going to have to wait until.
But we won't jinx it.
No,
By...
but
It's Cannes. Sorry.
of course, absolutely. But
No, that's Plan B.
that's plan B. But
Well, that's really exciting. I'm really glad to hear you guys are thinking of film festivals, because
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, no, exactly. It'll be good. So, and obviously we can't. If we were going to do that, we can't really do anything with it prior to that. So
Right, because
there's-
some of the requirements of a film festival is
Yeah.
released within a certain window for it to count.
Or it can't
right.
be screened
prior to
publicly.
you screening it there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And the other thing too about choosing festivals, and to everyone listening, I'm not an expert. I'm figuring this out as we're going along. But my approach to it is, well, we could put it in this film festival, but that's a lot of effort for a very low reward. Or we could put it in that film festival, however, it's very unlikely that we would stand out in that film festival, or very unlikely that we'd actually find any real success with that film festival. So each project needs its own film festival to really focus in on.
Strategy.
Yeah, and you mentioned Cannes before, and Cannes, it's more like, how would you describe those movies? They're a bit more, I guess,
established with backing. And
I think established is what came to my mind.
To me, it's like, what if they're kind of movies where, what if a Hollywood studio had license to be creative, without having a firm hand on them.
Too much like oversight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that sort of quality, but with a more artistic approach to the movie.
So, because you were saying, you're learning quite a lot each time you're working on these projects. Any experiences you're thinking of bringing into, heaven forbid I now flag a next project?
Yes.
But any experiences you're thinking of bringing into or wisdom you're thinking of bringing into the next project you're working on?
Yeah, heaps. None that I can really conjure immediately as I'm talking, because I'm writing something now.
Oh, right.
To be made in 2025, hopefully.
Any hints? Genre? Is it a Western?
It's a
period drama?
It's a drama.
Okay.
Like a drama.
Oh, right. Really? Right. So drama.
Yeah.
So that means a kind of conflict.
Yeah. More
tears.
Yeah, more like that than our other stuff, which is all... Actually, no, our first film was a drama, kind of.
Bin of
Despondency, yeah. It's a bit of an absurdist drama, and it kind of is funny, but it is a drama, I suppose. Yeah. But since then, we've only done comedies, so... I
think an important distinction with our older stuff and I guess our newer stuff is that I went in with a chip on my shoulder, and that chip's gone, so that influenced quite heavily how things were done and written. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to be taking forward, moving forward. No real chip on my shoulder about anything.
It feels like, again, bringing it all into a circle. That kind of wonderful moment in the third act of a film where the initial kind of divisions or chips on the shoulders, which might have been there from the older guy to the younger guy, have fallen away, and you've all grown from the experience.
But it's talking about the actors that we had, our co-star is actually co-writing this next script with me.
Oh, right.
Because he expressed interest in me in writing, more so than acting. So he and I are now writing that.
And again,
in earnest. It helps to have a second person there, because it really pushes you along to do it really consistently.
So again, putting yourself out there,
you're accountable to somebody else.
Yeah. And let's be honest, I'm not really a writer. I'm an editor. Like, I'm good at editing dialogue, but I'm not good at writing it.
Well, they say so many films are saved in the edit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't give myself that much power over this story. I mean, my strength when it comes to writing a script is more sort of choosing specific words, or kind of rephrasing a sentence to make it hit harder or be a bit softer, or have a different connotation. But writing an actual story, that's not really anything that I'm particularly good at, to be honest.
Again, the journey each of you have been on in filmmaking is about clarifying who you are.
I mean, I get in the way in the writing process, if anything.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be brutally honest with myself.
So again, we're pretty much now at the end of the show. Any reflections or advice from this?
If you want to do something cool, just do it, man.
Make like Shia LaBeouf.
Just do it.
Oh no.
Well, you've survived to come out the other end. I mean, I think this is the remarkable thing that...
I mean, we've gotten to a pretty good place in terms of creative output in only about 5 years.
Yes.
So which is pretty good.
It seems like you've surrounded yourself with a lot of great talent.
So I think it's pretty impressive to have gotten it to this position in half a decade. So I would pat ourselves on the back for that. And if anybody wants to work with us, that would be lovely.
Where can they reach out to find out?
To me on Facebook.
And is there a name on Facebook?
Yeah, Daniel Brooks. And I suppose you could send a message to the Big Love Studios Instagram that we have.
Right, Big Love Studios, and it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram, yep.
So people can reach out to you guys either by tracking you down on Facebook through Daniel Brooks. That's Brooks.
Yeah, KS, yeah.
Or Instagram, the Big Love
Studios.
Yeah. Any other contact points? They're the two main ones.
Yeah, those are the two main ones, I think. Yeah.
And look, I'll put details up on show notes.
You can ambush me in a place you know that I suddenly am.
Tassie's a small place.
We're having a party tomorrow night. You can ambush me there.
Please don't. It's at my house.
The address? No.
Well, look, guys, thanks so much for coming in. Edward, Daniel, Xavier, it's been fantastic to have you on. Again, continuing the documenting of, this really fun, exciting indie film career that you've been embarking on for a while now. So I look forward to continue documenting this for future projects, and we'll have to come in as things fine up with potential film festival in the future.
In the spring of 25.
Yeah. Spring of 25. It'll be gone just like that. So keep listening to Edge Radio. Coming up next is not K-Pop Unlimited because poor Taylor has fallen off his scooter.
He's fallen off his horse.
Which, could be the plot of some film. He is well, though. But the power of K-pop will heal him. So you can find out more about Media Mothership, of course, on Facebook and Instagram. There'll be show notes from today's episode up on the podcast as well. So I'll make sure there's some contact links for you guys there. And thanks again for coming in.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Dr. Craig. It has been beautiful, as always.
It has big love.
Big love.
Big love.
Big love.
Big love.
Listen to Edge Radio for all your Tassie music needs.